we have you here on the phone. If you ever wanted to maybe spill some big news about UFC 200, this would be an ideal time. So if you, I don't know if you want to share anything with us.
The floor is yours.
Hey, there it is.
Actually, I really don't have anything right now. It's actually in 30 minutes as our big matchmaker meeting, and we're really going to start building UFC 200.
We're excited. We're excited to be out there for it the entire week coming up in July. Real quick before I let you go, George St. Pierre was in the front row on Saturday. So much was made. He gets a lot of attention. He's one of the biggest stars you have ever had. What's his status? Are you working with him to try to make a comeback? Because we'd all love to see it.
It's like what we were just talking about before about Holly not fighting or Holly fighting. You can't make people fight. You can't make. But in this business, it has to burn. It has to be a desire inside you to fight. You know what I mean? Conor McGregor is a perfect example. This guy's got to turn around and fight on 200 again. You know what I mean? It just you have to have that burning desire to fight. If you don't have it, you absolutely should not fight.
Of the population of Great Britain, the Irish thing is very powerful, in that. Obviously, you can tell by my statement, they're very nationalistic, about their country. That they're very proud of their country and where they come from. But it's the same thing for the Irish Americans. So, and Irish anywhere, really, And what I was saying about representing the UK meant that 10% of Great Britain's, population has some Irish in them. And in the United States, forget about it. I mean, if you have this much Irish in you, you're Irish crazy. When we were in Canada, you wouldn't believe how many Irish flags people had in Canada. So what I was talking about in representing the UK, a lot of people are Conor McGregor fans in the UK too. Sure. Yes, I understand this is Ireland and it's not part of the UK, but understand this, there are a lot of fans of Conor McGregor in the UK too.
Sure, there's a lot of Conor fans all over the world,
right?
I'm sure, yeah. So between UFC 93 and then UFC Fight Night 46, there was nearly a little over 5-year layoff. Is it safe to say with the fan reaction and obviously then all the Irish fighters in the UFC now, you're not going to leave it as long to get back here for another event?
We'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Not only that, but I'm going to tell you right now, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I've been in this business, the fight business, since I was 19. I have never, ever been a part of anything like that last Dublin show when Conor walked in and when Conor fought. And it's the first time I've ever actually taken my phone out and started filming the crowd. It was incredible. I can't wait to get back to the O2 here in Dublin.
Right. And we'll just broaden it out to around the world now for a second. When Zuffa bought the UFC, it was a tough out process, and it's safe to say it got worse before it got better. And then when it really kicked off, you wanted MMA and the UFC to be the biggest sport in the world. So are you still on course for that? I mean, you've made great strides in the last couple of years, but are you still on course for that to be the biggest sport in the world?
Thank you. And yes, this year we're going into Poland for the first time. In a couple weeks here, we go into Poland. We're going to Scotland for the first time. We are going to South Korea for the first time. Yeah, every year we continue to pick off different countries. We're going to the Philippines this year for the first time. So, yes, we continue to grow, we continue to get bigger, and we continue to find new talent around the world.
Do you have a date in mind? Do you have a year on the calendar where you think, yeah, that's the year where we're going to be the biggest?
It's a big world. It's a big world out there, and we continue to, it's going to take years to grow a sport as big as we've got in such a short amount of time is pretty amazing. But it takes a long time, Think about 15 years. I've been doing this 15 years. How big is it going to be in another 15 years?
Yeah, true. And so when you started, there was a lot of threats from like regulation, TV, other promotions, and now it seems a lot of your, not threats, but problems you have is with the injuries to cards and fighters having to drop out and cards changing. How has that been? The last couple of years, 2013, 2014, you've had a lot of injuries and changes to cards. How has that been? Has it just been bad luck, or the amount of talent you have, has it been spread too thin with the amount of events?
Actually, 2013 was a great year for us, amazing year for us. It was 2012 and 2014 were the 2 years that there were a lot of injuries. And, if you'd have told me 5 years ago that was possible, I would have said no way. There's no way that every main and co-main event will fall off the entire year. It's not even possible. Now we know it is possible, and we're working on how to try to fix things like that. Obviously, educating the fighters on training better, training safer. We're building a new headquarters in Las Vegas, a new UFC headquarters. We break ground in June, and it'll be done the following June of 16. And in that, we're building a huge facility for rehab and therapy. Normally what we would do is we would just say, hey, Conor, you blew your ACL out. We're going to send you to the best surgeon in the country, and then come back and let us know when you're ready. No soccer team does that. No major, American Football League does that. We're gonna take the guys in. We're gonna give them surgery. They're gonna be there in our facility with the best therapists recovering, and we're gonna watch over them, and we're gonna continue to educate these guys on how to train safer. So we're gonna try to fix the things you normally can't control. We're gonna try to control the uncontrollable.
And it must be refreshing to hear the likes of, say, Robbie Lawler and even Conor McGregor himself training smart, not sparring, no heavy rounds. And if you go back a couple of years, it was the go hard or go home mentality. And now it's all about training smart and taking the least amount of damage in training. It's
true. And some of the camps are still in the Stone Ages and need to, be brought up to date. AKA is one of those places. You got Cain Velasquez, our heavyweight champion, who's always hurt. Those guys go to war every day. Like, he's training for a fight, and he's going to war with Daniel Cormier every day. That's not how it's done. Not anymore. We need to educate a lot more.
Yeah, and if we just think about this year for a second, January was a great year with 4 fantastic cards. Jones, Cormier, Silva Diaz, of course Boston, then all the Irish interest in Boston. But we spent a lot of time talking about the failed drug test. And I suppose we have to compliment the UFC on how fast they reacted to all the failed tests. And you had your press conference in February. Lots of new initiatives to help stamp out the performance-enhancing drugs issue. But you need the Athletic Commission buy-in. Are you getting that from them? Will you be on course for July 1st?
The Athletic Commission's been fantastic. And obviously, it's something that they want to clean up too, but it's a financial issue. To properly test 2 guys out of competition the way that you need to do it cost over $20,000. So it's something we're committed to, and we're going to put up the money.
Oh, that's great. It's good to hear. Just focusing then back on Europe, you've mentioned already new territories. There's some cities you're coming back to, like Berlin, Stockholm, hopefully Dublin. London, definitely. I think, is next year. And then there's new cities like Glasgow, Krakow. Has Europe been a tougher nut to crack than, say, South America or Canada?
Yeah, definitely. Europe has been definitely a tougher place to crack. You have all these small countries, but everything's looked at as Europe. And it's not our style to go in and, be on one of these, sports channels that just have a bunch of, we want to go in market. We want to be on, even if we're in Ireland, we want to be on the biggest, best television network here in Ireland. We want to be in the best possible network in the UK. We want to be in the best in Germany and so forth and so on. I mean, so it's definitely a tougher nut to crack here.
Very good.
It takes time.
Yeah, and with regard to expanding the sport and the UFC brand, the Ultimate Fighter has done great things. The Tough Nation series with Canada and Australia, and then the Tough China series. Any plans for a Tough Europe, be it within different regions fighting against each other, or just one Tough for Europe?
I love it. Absolutely. I mean, that makes the most sense. But the other problem is, when we do something in the United States, obviously the whole country is bigger and everybody speaks the same language.
Of course.
It's so tough going to Europe. You go, Europe is very much like the United States in that we're sitting here right now in Dublin, Ireland. We could be in Germany in an hour. We could be over here in an hour and 15 minutes. We could be over there. But everybody speaks different languages that close together. So it's obviously a little more challenging than doing some of these other places. And even we go into Brazil, and you start doing the Latin America, they can all sort of understand each other and speak the same language. Whereas, in Europe it's tougher.
Yeah, okay. And if we focus now back on the Fighting Irish, obviously there's been an influx of Irish fighters into the UFC since Conor's brought the spotlight on Ireland. Are you surprised at how many UFC-ready fighters there are in this small country?
Yes, yes. You know, I wouldn't say that I'm shocked. I mean, that's this country is another one of those countries that is known for fighting and is known for talent, and talented fighters have been coming out of this country for a long time in boxing. So I'm not shocked, but it's one of the places that I knew it would happen. But to have so many guys at the same time, you know, it's tough to do in a small country like this.
And if you take your boss's hat off for a sec and leave Conor aside, obviously everyone likes watching Conor, but is there any of the Irish fighters you particularly enjoy watching? Or
Duffy, did you see his? I mean, his fight So the prelims, when the prelims are on, I sit in my room and I watch all the prelims, and then I go out for the main card. We're sitting in there. I was going crazy during that fight. That kid looked unbelievable, unbelievable.
is there any Irish fighters you think have a realistic chance of a title shot? Again, outside Conor, obviously.
Yeah, Duffy. I mean, the two best fighters I've seen out of Ireland right now are those two.
And obviously, Duffy came in a lot of hype. The last guy to beat Conor in Norman Park. And he was pro boxing for a number of years. Were there ever any attempts to lure him away from pro boxing back then?
No, I literally, you know what's funny? I saw the Duffy fight with Conor, and you know, I watched it online, and I called my matchmaker and I told him, I want you to sign that kid, sign Duffy, I want him, and he went out and did it. So, you know, so I wasn't even thinking about it while he was boxing. It all worked out.
And there was a bit of talk about him maybe going down to 145. Would you prefer to see him have a few fights at 155, maybe a title run there? Would you like to see him down?
He can go wherever he wants. Yeah, if he wants to go down to 45. Obviously, a fight with him and Conor wouldn't happen for a while. Conor is much further ahead of him right now as far as the rankings in the UFC go. But that kid keeps looking like he looked in his last fight. It won't be long before he breaks up into the top 10.
And we're obviously, you're in Dublin to promote the UFC 189 press tour. And if we go back a couple of months, there was a lot of talk about that happening maybe in a football stadium here in Ireland, Croke Park or Aviva. How close was that to happening?
You know, it's tougher to get things done here in Dublin than I thought it would be. Even for this, you know, we're here on this tour, and we wanted to do some things here, you know, out in the street. And now as windy and cold as it is, I'm glad that didn't work out now that I'm here. But yeah, it's a lot tougher to navigate through here and put on big events than I thought it would be. You know, they have curfews and restrictions, and it's tough to navigate through here.
And how has the tour been with Conor and Jose?
It's been fantastic. It's been a very unique experience for me, and I've done a lot of things in my career, but this has been really cool.
Are you surprised that the tension has been ramping up, that they haven't got bored with each other, or it's been the same questions, same answers? Are you surprised that it's
these guys are, you have two alpha males, you know, on a tour. Jose Aldo has the belt and wants to keep it, and Conor wants that belt really bad. Conor has actually been going after Jose for saying, you never have your belt. Why do you never have your belt? You know, get used to not having that belt, because I'm going to take it and I'm going to have it with me all the time, and I'm going to carry it and I'm going to hold on to it. I'm actually going to care about that belt. You know, you've gotten, you know, it's awesome to listen to Conor talk about how he feels about fighting, how he feels about his home country, how he feels about Ireland, and how he feels about this fight.
There's a lot of people have talked, and including Conor's coach, John Kavanagh, talked about how through the course of the press tour, maybe Jose is breaking and that Conor has nearly got the fight won before it happens. What do you think of that?
It's one of the fascinating things about the stare downs and the mind games that are played leading up to a fight. They've both been playing them. Conor has been playing them. Jose has been playing them. And where you'll really see and when you'll really know is the day of the weigh-ins. The weigh-ins, when they both get on the scale and when they stare down that day, that's the day that you'll know where your guy is mentally.
And based on that then, in some of Conor's previous fights, have you thought, yeah, that guy is broke? Talking about Conor's opponents now, have you seen the opponents breaking?
He's very good. Conor is very good at the mind game, you know, the mind warfare, the emotional warfare, and the actual fight itself. He's very good. in all areas of this combat sport.
Sort of bringing that on a step further then, let's say if or when, as we'd like to say here in Ireland, Conor wins the title in July. Do you think he's greatest of all time material, GOAT material?
Let me tell you what, if Conor wins that title, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. To call him the GOAT this early that's crazy, but you know, he's going to have to defend that title. He's going to have to break some records. He's going to have to do some amazing things. But and how quickly he's done this and how easily he's done it, he has the potential to be great.
Is he the first guy to progress through the UFC as fast?
Yes.
Like nobody else has done this before.
There's no doubt. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, even Ronda Rousey, who is phenomenal and, you know, the greatest athlete I've ever worked with, even she came in as a champion. She was already a champion. Nobody has come from obscurity, nobody's ever heard of him before, to a massive superstar the way Conor McGregor has.
And you mentioned earlier that you will be coming back to Ireland. Is there anything penciled in? Is it 2015, 2016 for an event?
Yes, we will be coming back to Ireland in 2015.
Okay, great. Yeah. And it's safe to say we may never see Conor fighting on these shores again.
No, that's not true. He's gonna fight. If he wins this title, I have every intention. Lorenzo and I, believe me, I'm Irish. Lorenzo's Italian. Lorenzo's Irish now, man. Lorenzo has turned the corner. He's Irish. He's Irish, man.